going through the kind of the, we could do some scales, I suppose, on the Bartok. What do you think?
That sounds good.
Okay. I didn't really work on, do you want me to do the flats, the flat keys?
Sure, if you want me to help you with that keys out.
Yeah, I didn't really work on these ones.
Okay, so you could start with F major.
Okay. All right, yeah, and this is a different fingering too. Okay. All right. I think I'm doing that fingering right.
Right, so how is this fingering different from the other major scales that we...
So you go to the fourth before you cross under there.
Exactly.
It's the same going up, like on the left hand, and then I think it's the, would it be the same going down? No, but it's the same going up on the left hand, right? And then the right hand's just different than you cross under the four, right? But you then you do three, so you do 4, 3.
That's the way.
Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then the, let me think of this here. Oops.
Right. No, that's fine.
What did you say?
You can go in doubles if you like. It's easier than doing triplets.
Okay. 5, 4, 2. Oops.
That's it.
Should I go on to the next one?
Sure, unless I was thinking maybe you could improvise a little bit in each key. It might make it more interesting for you. Like, use the chords from the chord cadences and use the chords in the left hand that you see in the cadences, and then put a melody with it in the right hand.
Okay. Let's try. Ooh, that's fun. Whoops. Oh, that's cool. That's a fun idea. That's cool. Should I do it with the last one? Wait, hold on. Did I do that right? Oh.
Good.
Fun. What?
That was nice.
Thanks. That was fun. It's like a fun way to like connect it with your ear too.
Uh-huh.
You know, to try to like, I don't know. I always have such a hard time with like aural skills, like hearing the chords. You know, like I can't, even the simplest chord progressions, I have the tough time like differentiating, you know, 5-4-1 or five or what, sorry, like one, like if you did 1-4-1 versus 1-4-1-5-1 or something, like even little simple things like that. It's like hard for me to hear. So that's kind of cool.
Right. Maybe if you play them on the piano, you'll get better at hearing them.
Yeah. Like and just like and also too probably recognizing them when I'm reading music too. Like I'll
Mhm.
start to really recognize how they fit into the songs and where they are and stuff.
Right. Right. How about B major, flat major?
Alright. Uh-oh. So this is a different one. All right, so 4 and 3. 2 and 3. All right, hold on. Let me just kind of one. Oh, I think I did that wrong. 4, 3, 4. Oh, you do crossover. Okay. Okay, and then this. That's a little easier. Okay. I think I did that right. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm supposed to be on 4 and 2. Okay. And then 3 and 2 you end with, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. And then the arpeggios. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Is that the fingerings that you use?
Yes.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, and 2.
Right.
Yeah, it feels a little clunky, but I have to practice that for sure.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then.
Okay. So how would you put some melodies to this one?
All right, let me give this a try.
Good.
Trying the next inversion.
Sure. That's right. Good.
So
So
what'd you say?
how about E flat major?
Okay. So is this the same fingering as B flat major?
Really similar, but quite the same.
Okay, so. Oops.
If you
What?
want to, in your right hand, you can start on third finger if you like.
Okay. All right, so then you're kind of keeping the same fingering. So fourth is coming over now. I don't know if I did that right. 3, 4. Alright, so after that. Alright. So you kind of end on the threes together, right?
Right. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, these ones I'm definitely gonna have to work on more.
Yeah, the flats take a little more time.
Yeah, just to get, because they're all a little bit different. The fingering, are all of them just kind of different?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Got you. To memorize. Not good at that. Okay, let's see. So gosh. Hmm. Okay, I'll have to work on that.
Right. So how would some melodies sound in E flat major?
Okay.
Good.
Do you want me to keep going?
Sure, we have time if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then it says either 3, 4, or 2, 3. What do you suggest?
I think 2 is easier for starting, but it's up to you.
Okay. chord crossover. Okay. I think that was kind of right.
Okay. Let's try the arpeggios.
Okay. 2, 1, 4. So a lot of 2, 2, 1, 4s, right?
Ready?
What am I doing now?
G natural.
Oh. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, how about some melodies in A flat?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, my brain's getting like confused as to which key I'm in.
There you go. Good. We just have one more key that we haven't done, D flat major.
Okay. All right. Let's see a page of this. I like that one. That's an easier key.
Right, it fits more easily.
Yeah. Okay. And then to the same kind of fingering.
If you had to put a color to this key, since it's a nice sounding key, which color would you pick?
Like a color of the rainbow?
Yeah.
Oh no. Like a blue, like an ocean blue.
Okay, so let's hear some melodies with ocean blue.
Okay, I like that. All right.
It sounded different when you thought about a color.
It did. It did. I was like thinking something differently. So yeah.
What would you like to do next? Would you like to do some more Mikrokosmos or go straight into the Burgmuller?
Maybe we do these. I think we only have a few left in this book. Or actually, maybe we have more than I think. But oh yeah, we do. Okay, we could do a few. Should we do a few of these first? Did we end on 28?
We stopped on 26 or 27. I'm not sure which one.
Okay. Yeah, I think we finished that page.
Okay, so let's start on 28.
Okay.
And then
What did you say? Okay, yeah.
yeah, too.
Okay.
Good.
Just messed up my fingering somewhere along there.
Uh-huh.
I was like crossing over, but okay.
Okay, so let's just go on to the next one. Invitation reflected.
Okay.
Right, so what do you think the word reflected means in this? How is the invitation reflected?
It's kind of like a mirrored image. Like this one's going up, and this one's going.
Right, exactly. It's an inversion.
Okay, like an inversion of it. Okay.
Okay, let's do canon at the lower fifth.
Okay.
So what does lower fifth mean? Is it down a fifth or is it
Yeah.
down a house?
Sorry, what did you say? Is it down a fifth or what?
Or is it down a different interval?
It looks like a fourth.
Right, so it's the fifth in the key, so it's the subdominant, so it's actually down a fourth.
Yeah. Okay. So at the lower fifth, so like the fifth of the key lower. Okay. There's just such funny melodies.
They sound a little bit eerie because they're not in traditional modes.
Yeah. They're like not what you expect, so.
Right. Okay, let's do dance in canon form.
Okay.
It's called a dance.
I guess I was thinking like the allegro tempo, but I don't really know for sure.
I'm not sure either. Do you mind if I play it real quick? See if I can make it dance.
Yeah. Yeah, the accents make a difference, like in how it goes. You can hear that.
They do make a difference, and it brings out the bigger key. Right.
Yeah, that's a trickier one. The faster tempos, I just have such a hard time like following with my eyes. Oops. Yeah, that's a tricky one for me.
There you go. You'll have it if you want to practice it. It won't take too long.
When you sight read, like you're looking, you kind of just look at the whole measure and kind of look ahead. How do you play the quick tempos without kind of getting behind your eyes?
Actually thinking in two instead of four, so that helped. And then I noticed it was all D minor, so I just set my hands up in positions for D minor and knew that I was staying in the key.
Got you. Yeah. I just gotta
So,
practice more, I guess.
yeah, well, the most important thing when you sight read is to keep a steady bit rhythm. So if you just think that you're going to keep going no matter what, think
Yeah.
about watching the beginnings of the bar. So so just try it again, and no matter what, don't stop.
Okay. So you're gonna find mid notes or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There you go. It was great when you just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
So,
like you could do okay, like especially from I think playing for the students, like missing quite, like I feel like I can keep going. I just wish I could pick up more, and I guess it's just gonna be playing more and getting more comfortable with the keys and stuff, like picking up more notes
right.
of accompaniment when I play, because
Oh,
if I pull out a song for one of my students, I can keep going. Usually I can like especially if I'm playing the melody with them, I usually can like play the melody with them, and then I'll just do like, maybe that starting chord or whatever on each measure. But I really want to kind of be able to pick up more
Okay.
notes. But I guess is that just it's just
It
time.
just right. I was thinking about you, and I have a couple books that you might like to get that are intermediate level that have music that you can read without having to practice too long. They take a little time. It's some of the Chopin and Bach and Schubert and Brahms,
Okay.
and a lot of other composers that are prominent composers, but it's mostly their shorter works. So I can show you those now, or I can show you at the end. I think if you just play a lot of music, that's not too hard, that won't take months to learn, and just keep reading more and more music, that your goal of being able to read better with more content will come.
Okay.
Or, sight reading isn't always just the first time you see the notes. Sometimes sight reading can be looking at it a little bit for a couple minutes and having a chance to play a few things that might be problematic and then going through it.
Okay.
It's not always the very first time that
Yeah, like you have to play it perfectly the first time.
right. So let's do that with the next one. Why don't you just play through it a little bit at your leisure and see if there's anything you need to practice a little bit, and then go through it.
Okay. Ooh, 3-2.
Right.
Oops. What do you think that line means?
I think it's for the melody. I think it means that the melody goes from A to the F. A
Gotcha.
lot of people put lines like that in their music.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
So is there anything you need to look at one more time, or should
I think I feel okay about it.
okay, so now we'll play it.
Okay.
did you feel about that? Was it easier?
So much easier. You know, you can see the, like, just having a little time to even, you see the pattern here, you know, instead of like thinking of those as separate things. I'm like, oh, okay, just, I see that, you know, and even, you know, just kind of the repeated, the rhythm at the beginning, you know, like, you see those patterns and then all of a sudden it doesn't seem as like I'm reading note by note. I have to like read every single note, you know, like I didn't even think at the end there, I didn't even think really about the left hand because I saw that it just repeated itself.
Good.
So that definitely, to look for those patterns, that
Uh-huh.
definitely helped a lot.
Definitely. So maybe when you teach your students and you're in a situation where you have to read something that you've never seen, just ask them to give you a couple minutes.
Okay.
They can probably use the break. And you can have them do something while you're looking at the music. Think of something.
Yeah.
Think of something they can do with the text on their own while you look at the music.
That's a great idea. Like have them look over the text or have them even look over if it's something that they haven't sung before, like have them look it over before, you know, any rhythms or words or things that might mess them up and then take the time for me to do it as well. That's a
Right.
good idea. So I don't sit down and just am like, oh my gosh, I have to play this new song that they gave me, you know.
Right.
The contemporary stuff I find difficult sometimes too. It's like, and usually that it's like once you get the rhythm, you know, it's usually kind of can be repetitive, but sometimes the rhythms are really tricky if you don't know the song ahead of time. Um, you know, to read like a lot of like 16th note syncopated rhythms. It's like if you know it, you know, if you've heard the song ahead of time, it's like not that hard. But sight reading it for the first time, it's like, oh my goodness, like where are the accents and what's my rhythm here? But I'll just play like block chords.
Well, that's a normal thing to do. Pianists who work with singers will always ask to have a couple minutes just to, look at it. They don't just read at the first sight if it's something they've never seen very often. Mostly they will at least look at it a little bit. It's not reasonable for your students to expect you to completely sight read.
Yeah. And if you think about that, even if you go into an audition for musical theater, like the accompanist right away will sit down and be like, you know, you give them the tempo or whatever, and they're really looking over the music and just making sure, you know,
Right.
there's nothing like key changes or accidental. They're just kind of seeing the rhythm, the basic like, you know, I guess patterns of the song.
Right, exactly. So maybe we could think of a few steps when this happens to you, when the students just come and give you a song that you've never seen. Like, could you think of a few steps of what to do when you first look at it? What you should notice first? Like the key signature or the time signature, and then patterns that might look like they recur, or rhythmic things that might recur, melodies that might recur. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely key, you know, the key and the time signature. I always like get that first and then, you know, the tempo like where of the song and then I think yeah, like patterns and I guess any changes within those patterns, whether it be like, you know, rhythmic changes or accidentals or key change.
Exactly. So let's look at this number 33 and just take a couple minutes to go through it on your own and notice whatever you need to notice, practice a little bit, then we'll sight read.
Okay. So technically it says it's in the key of C, but I'm seeing a lot of C sharps. So I'm thinking it's more like the D, because I don't see a lot of Fs in the song at all.
Right.
So I'm thinking this is like, I'm thinking D as I'm going to be playing this. And
Okay.
then 6/4 legato. So I would probably do that in like a 3/4. That's the same as 3/2, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm thinking kind of the same thing. And then I'm seeing a lot of patterns in the left hand. So that just keeps a nice shape there. Looks like I don't have to move that at all. Yeah, and this kind of has that same thing. So, whoops. Oops.
Right. So is there anything you need to practice a little bit before we go through it?
Yeah, probably that middle section there. Oops. Oops. Oh, have I been playing that wrong?
No, that's right. This one is really tricky. It has yeah. Well,
Yeah, I feel like was I playing A's there? I feel like I was playing A's maybe, I don't know. Oops. Oops. Yeah, that is definitely a tricky rhythmic one.
right.
Kind of like ignore anything that you think might sound normal, just ignore it. Interesting.
Okay, so now let's pretend this is the straight through time.
Okay, let's give it a try.
Great. That was great. Good job.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was okay. Much easier after you get a chance to look it over a little bit.
Great. Okay, we have about 10 minutes. Would you rather just finish this book or do a little bit of the Burgmuller?
Let's go to the Burgmuller.
Okay.
Because this one I like, it's like an actual kind of song, so.
Right.
I don't remember where we ended.
Um,
Remember the last one we did? I definitely didn't do that one.
I'm not sure, but I was reading through the books so I could recommend one that you might like.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I remember playing number 15 as a child, so that's probably considered a good one.
Okay. Oh, nice, 2 pages too. Okay.
And it's a little bit different, you know, it's kind of more aggressive and fun to play for some kids. It's
Oh,
not,
cool.
you know, you don't want them always to play just pretty songs. So this
Yeah.
is a contrast.
Oh, wow, okay.
So do
3,
the same thing, you know, look at the important things you need to look at and kind of play through it on your own.
So we are in C minor, right?
Right.
Oh, I know this song. I think I might have played this as a kid too. Oops. I definitely know this song. Yes. Whatever that is. Whatever that is. Yes, I remember
Right.
this.
So just
This is fun.
make sure you play the correct articulation when you have the C minor arpeggio that goes do, 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 do. I couldn't tell. It could be the,
Just the staccato there.
yeah, make sure you play those staccato.
Sure.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, then, right?
Yeah, just make the 3 feel 1, 2, 3, dun, 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 instead of
So
yeah,
one,
just Sure, it doesn't become a duple bar instead of a triple bar.
Got you. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Okay, is there anything else you think you need to practice a little? Or should we...
Um, funny how much worse my left hand is at playing like a melody.
Right.
Like that is so easy in my right hand, you know? Like I feel like I could play that pretty fast in my right hand, and my left hand feels so clumsy. Like it just feels like lead trying to play.
That's normal.
Okay, should I give it a go?
Sure, that would be great.
All right.
Good. How did you feel about that?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, I obviously kind of stopped a little bit. I didn't like fully, but if it was like something where I was uncomfortable, I think I would have been able to keep going.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it's funny how this just feels like. It just feels like so funny to play a melody in the left hand. Feels like, you know, you're riding riding a bike for the first time or something. What a fun song.
Right. There's another one called Wagtail that I think is nice. And there's one at the end called The Swallow, which I think is nice. And a few more that you might like to learn just so you could have a suite of things to play just for fun.
Yeah.
Wagtail is number 11, and Swallow is number 24.
Okay.
if you like those, and you could pick out a few more if you wanted to, and have a suite of things that would be fun to play that wouldn't take forever to learn.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice having kind of some simple songs that you just know that aren't yeah, that aren't super long and take so long to work up, you know.
Right. And with your boys, these are things that you can do with them where you could have them make creative movements while you play,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
art projects. You could have them give them pieces of paper and crayons or markers, whatever you use, and have them make a picture while you play something.
That's such a good idea. I will definitely do that because I love playing the piano, but it drives them crazy when I'm playing the piano. Like they just want me to play with them or they want to play the piano. So like I
Right.
feel like I can never sit down and play with them around, but I bet they would love that. Like I should definitely try to do that. Like have them draw pictures of what they think the song
Mhm.
sounds like or dance like how they think or like that would be like such a fun one to do. In that minor key, I think they would have so much fun pretending to be like
Right.
mice or
These are all these Burgmullers are all really good for that. And if you want, I can email you some more collections of music that's similar to this that would work for that.
okay. Yeah, that would be great. Any suggestions that you have? I'm always kind of looking for things like that too. It's so fun just to be able to sit down and and play them. That's such a fun one. I definitely feel like I played that in my past, or at least heard it.
Probably because when I first started playing that, I don't, have a natural left hand either because I'm right-handed and I could, just play it. So I'm pretty sure I had that in my childhood sometime.
Yeah, like I definitely heard it for sure. If not played it, I feel like, or maybe one of my siblings played it on piano or something. Because I feel like that is such a melody to like recognize. So, oh,
Right. So there's this book. I actually got a lot of music for the same reason, just to have things to play during the pandemic. So there's this book. It's called The Giant Book of Intermediate Classical Piano Music.
here, just hold it up. I'm gonna take a picture. Can you
Okay.
hold it up? Okay.
And this has a lot of stuff that's fun to play. Some of the CPE Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, some other things by Bartok that are more melodic and
Yeah.
more like cellos. Some of the easier Beethoven, and then it has all of these Burgmullers, and it has some Chopin, Clementi, Diabelli, Dussek, Grieg, some other pedagogues that you haven't heard of probably, like Stephen Heller, but they wrote really good music for intermediate level kids.
Okay.
And Hulau, McDowell, The Wild Rose is in here, a little
Oh,
Mendel and Purcell, a lot of Schumann because a lot of the scenes from childhood are in here, and some Tchaikovsky. So this would be a good book if you want.
okay.
And there's a book with first lessons in Bach that has a lot of Bach, a lot of some things that are from the suites, but movements that people know that are familiar. If you
Yeah.
just want an introduction, and then after you look at these Schirmer books, then you can get better editions if you really like something.
Okay.
And then there's this other one called The Romantic Era.
Like I would love that. I love romantic era music.
Selections from symphonies, ballets, operas, and piano literature for piano solo.
Can you hold that up? I want to take a picture. Okay. Oh, that would
There's,
be. I bet I would love that.
yeah, there's really fun stuff in it. And I don't know if you play in church or not, but a lot of this music can work for preludes or if you get asked to play for a wedding or something like that. These are all
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like to use some of those. I'm sure the ballet, like the more common pieces that people know.
Right. Anytime you get asked to play for something where you need, 20 minutes of music and you don't want a Chopin scherzo, you want something that's more fun for a player, more like background music, but still good music.
Yeah.
These are all good.
And I was even thinking like this was before obviously the pandemic of just going to like nursing homes and playing, just having because I feel like it's like a nice thing. They I feel like would love that generation, especially just like classical piano music, but I felt like, oh my gosh, I could never sit down and do that. But like this, I could work this up so easily, like
Right.
able to
Def-
play those. Uh,
right. Go home and I play in a nursing home. I use this kind of music because I need stuff I can play for an hour.
yeah.
Or I use my ballet book, which, has a lot of music that I either know really well or it's not that weird, but it still sounds nice and people enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'll definitely. Can I ask you actually one question
Sure.
before we go? I'm wondering, like with beginner piano, when you teach your beginner students or like when you learned, did you do like where you sang and did solfege first? Did you learn like C as do? I have some voice students who like study very seriously piano with this gal. I think she's like Russian or something.
Okay.
And they, use fixed do, and they basically kind of learned all their notes on the piano in solfege with fixed do, and then, she like has them almost sight read the melodies singing before she plays them. I'm just kind of curious, did you do that? Have you heard of that? How do you start like beginner singers? I mean, beginner piano players.
I personally didn't do that. I started with my grandma when I was 3, and it was very creative. We did a lot of storybook work, making things from storybooks on the piano, and me drawing pictures while she played, and a lot of the things that I was just telling you to do, I did with my grandma.
I love.
And we did not use solfege, but I do have perfect pitch because I started when I was 3. So we did go by letter names of the notes, but I know from being in Bulgaria that that's just the Eastern European way. Instead of saying C, D, E, F, G, they say do, re, mi, fa, sol. And
Yeah,
even in the orchestra, if they're naming a note, they'll go by solfege. If they're saying, play the E, they'll say play the mi, you
yeah,
know, do this with the T or the la.
yeah.
And that's the way they are.
Yeah, it's
But
like I have a couple families and they all take from the same, I don't teach them anymore, but they were homeschooled families and they all
uh-huh.
took from the same piano teacher. And so they all read amazingly well, but with fixed do, and then a lot of them wanted to go, become like music majors. And I was like, you should probably learn movable do as sing voice majors because that's just kind of what we use. And
Right.
oh, it was so tough for some of them to get that out. And I thought, oh, how like it stinks that they have to change because they have like such great skills with fixed do, And I think that sometimes I wonder if fixed do might be like a better way to
Yeah.
teach because when you do movable do, you don't, especially with piano, you don't you're not memorizing like I guess the change of key, the accidentals. You're not memorizing that change. You're just moving do, you know.
Right.
So it was just an interesting way of doing it. And I was kind of curious, like as I teach my own kids, if they'll let me teach them, which they probably won't. I'm gonna have to like hire a teacher because they won't listen to me. But I was thinking of maybe trying to like do some solfege as I teach them and have them sing and then play. Because also some of my voice students who are really good sight readers vocally who don't play the piano, when I sit down and say, okay, put your hand like in a C position, and then something they just sight read, I mean, they can play it perfectly on the piano. Like they've never played piano, like a little melody in C, because because they can sight read it already. So it's just
Right.
interesting. I don't know. I was just kind of curious if
I mean, I think it's okay if people do both. Horn players need to know movable do because we think in the keys and we have to transpose horn in E flat, horn in D, horn in C, horn in everything, which is like movable do. So for us, it's important. But there are some schools like Indiana University where they teach fixed. So if somebody wants to major in music and they're really opposed to doing movable do solfege, they should just pick a school that does fixed
yeah.
because
So some of the schools do them even here. I didn't realize that.
yeah, Indiana, at least they used to. I think they still do. And I think Juilliard might even do fixed do. I'm not sure, but if that's an issue, they could probably find a school that does fixed.
Gotcha. Oh man,
And
perfect pitch. That must have been so messed with your brain when you were first learning uh, the French horn.
not really,
Oh,
because I just learned how to transpose when I was in fifth grade. I just, it's actually down in fifth, but I thought up 4 notes for everything. So I just learned how to transpose.
well,
I
that's so
just
interesting.
thought up 4 notes, 4 pitches for every note.
That
And
is,
so I can read easily and C on my horn, but easily, just as easily in F, either one. So it's actually an advantage because when I play horn in B or horn in B flat in the bass, basso B or B flat, I just think down from C, which is much easier than other horn players who have to think down a fifth or a tritone from F.
oh
And
gosh, I can't
for
even.
horn in E flat or horn in D, I think down from F. And for G and A, I think up from F. Unless it's in the bass, then I think down from C.
Oh my
So it makes some of the keys easier for me that I can think in C.
That's interesting. That's amazing. That's amazing. I don't know if I could. I could.
Nobody told me when I was in fifth grade that it was a big deal. They just said, well, it sounds a fourth away from the piano. You
Yeah.
know, when you look at an F, it sounds like a C on the piano. And I said, okay. And so I just sat at my piano and practiced transposing, and then I played it on my horn.
That's so crazy. I've had some students come in really like not great singers, not very musical, like, and they have perfect pitch. And I don't know, it's such an interesting thing, you know? Like I had this one girl come in and she's not a great singer. She's really not very good at sight reading, not very, rhythmic or tone is there. But, whenever she would just hum a song, I noticed she would always hum it in the same key. And I was like, okay, like I don't know, I would say a song on the radio, and I'd be like, sing this song, and then I noticed that she didn't even know that she had it. She had no idea where it was on the piano. She just always knew what key songs were supposed to be in. If someone was singing, like if her sister always would come in with her and would sing a little bit of a song, she'd be like, that's not how it goes, and then she would sing it in the right key. It's such an interesting thing that some people's minds can just no, I don't have perfect pitch, so I'm always in such awe of that because I think it's so amazing.
Well, it's okay. Relative pitch can be just as good. And for singers, sometimes better because sometimes your pitch changes in a choir and, it doesn't bother you as much as it would bother me.
Oh my gosh.
I can adjust. I mean, as long as someone who has perfect pitch isn't told, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's okay. It's just that, people assume things and they tell their students that certain things are true and not necessarily, because even though I have perfect pitch and it might bother me when a choir goes flat, I can still play in a Baroque orchestra, which is a 415, which is like, or if it's a 430, it's in between pitches. It's like in between a C and a B, and it's a quarter. And I can still adjust to that, even though I have perfect pitch. It's not impossible. You just get used to it. You just tell yourself it's going to sound different and go with it.
Okay, so you can still like enjoy, like if a choir goes out of
Yeah,
tune.
I just don't dwell on it. I just adjust with it.
Yeah. It's funny. So when I sang in choir in college, I had one gal that was a soprano with me who had perfect pitch, and there was a couple gals, and most of them were fine, but this one would not. She would if we would go flat, she would sing the correct note still. She would not go with the choir because she would just get annoyed that everybody was going flat, and it would sound terrible. It would be like she's like a quarter step like sharp above everybody else because we were going flat. It's like you can't do that. Like you have to follow. And for her, it was more so like I know what the pitch is. You guys are going off. I'm not gonna go. I'm like no. You have to be able to adjust. Otherwise, you're gonna make everybody sound even worse than we already sound. We're going flat.
Yeah, that's a stereotype. When I did my DMA, my professor hated that I had perfect pitch because he was prejudiced. Because he said, all the people I know who have perfect pitch are this way. They won't adjust. They won't tune to someone else. And I'm like, I can still adjust. I can play in a woodwind quintet and match people who are out of tune.
Yeah.
I've been doing it my whole life,
Yeah, like you know how you can do it.
Yeah.
This one, and I had other girls, other people in the choir that had perfect pitch that always adjusted and they were totally fine. But she was one that was like,
That was just a personality issue, I think. I think she's probably capable.
Yeah, I think she could. I think she could. She was literally, she would sing so loud. I think maybe she was too like trying to get everybody back onto pitch, but it's like, no, 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 you can't do that.
Right. Somebody just should have just told her nicely that what she was doing wasn't helping.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just a personality thing.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for these lessons. This has been really great. Like, I feel like I've learned even just from the 3 lessons, like learned such great information, really useful for what I want to be using piano for. So I'm really appreciative. Oh, you have another. Oh, yes, I have these.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
That's the ones that you use. For the most part, I've been using even the littler ones for like my beginner students. But is that like a?
I use this from age 5. If it's before that, sometimes I just make everything up.
Yeah.
As I,
Yeah, the one before they have, it's kind of like that. It's like, it's just fun kind of thing.
Oh,
but
Faber has a preschool one before this. I didn't know that.
yeah, I'll show it to you. So these are. Yeah, goes like that. They look like this. Have you seen these?
Okay. No, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, and they like have like so they start out with no staff, and they've just got like little characters, and it comes with like a CD. You can play songs. Let me see if you see the beginning here. Oh, this looks like this is the second book, so they introduce the staff, but they kind of go like, they start out like this.
Okay.
Which is nice. So you like learn the rhythms and the notes on the piano and the fingering, and then they add the staff, which I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah,
I think it's like
they do that too. They start without staff.
And that one's called, is that one called what's that called?
Piano Adventures lesson book, primer level.
Gotcha. And this is my first Piano Adventures. So that one's just Piano Adventures. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Sorry, I'll put these back.
Well, it's been fun working with you. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful summer, I guess. Are you taking more courses the next semester as well?
I have another class during summer B, so it's busy during the summertime.
Awesome.
It's easier during the semester when you can kind of take a break for 5 days if you want.
Yes. For the summer, you're like, gotta go hard.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, enjoy your summer, and thank you again so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for helping.
Bye.
Bye.